Honorable.
Oh, trying to survive, man.
Very good. You are early today in the meeting.
Well, I'm in Cape Town.
Oh.
Yes, Chair. We are around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about six members with yourself. So we are ready to start.
The minister. Mr. Shilem, okay, but oh yeah, no, apologies, Ms. In the meeting, I welcome the tour. Are we connected? Honorable Minister, you can see that. May I now?
Chair Tebekulu.
All right. We have apology, colleagues, that you may be aware. It does not look like from the minister. And I don't know who is representing the.
Good afternoon. To impression, Chair, that there will be more. I'm now just forgetting the name, but the head of the defense works formations works for me.
Let me just check. I'm sure DOD at Amsco Building. IT department is has. Mr.
Service.
Yes, I'm not too sure if Peter. Building. DM, the IT is trying to find out what the problem is. Yes, sir.
Chair?
Team at Amsco Building.
Peter just now as soon as he's connected.
Please. You can do it so. You can do so, colleagues. Sandra, are you in the meeting?
Yes, Chair, I am.
Oh, I see. Okay, no, thanks.
I'm here, Chair. I'm here, Chair.
Oh, yes.
The problem is that when you go out, you.
Honorable Hendricks here, permission to speak.
Oh,
meeting this afternoon, the Honorable Chair, and I hope if there's stuff that we are going to talk about.
As long as you will not be.
Contribution to make.
JJ. Oh, yes, you are back. Shelembe, I was just checking. Okay. Mr. Murray, we have the whole team in the meeting. OD would have joined. It appears that Mr. Lejoba is still General
Yes,
Lejoba. With him where you are now.
Yes, Minister will be.
Going to join the meeting.
will be joining us.
No,
So let's
thanks.
start. We're just trying to get General Dwaba up, and then I'll let the chair know.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll wait. Thank you so much. My apologies, colleagues. We only have one. Dr.
Hi, Sharon. General Dwaba.
Okay, can you just
Velen,
Okay, Chair, just
I'm trying to stop research. He can in the issues that the department will be briefing us about, but I'm doing nothing. Document is on the screen.
the document was distributed to members, and the aim of the document was merely to provide a background to the key issues and where we are today. And I think today's briefing by the forward as a reminder, and members will recall that we visited one of these regional works units last year in Youngsfield in Cape Town, where they briefed us on some of the key issues there. Also, just included for reference on the next page, you'll see there the structure of the Defence Works formation. And this was it was presented in 27 Department of Public Works. And this has been an ongoing issue for several years. And there's been a lot of presentation, a number of here, some disagreement between the departments on, and this has been observed even by the committee, with Public Works, for example, up in the north in Air Force Base Makado, complained that it takes very long in that it's been over 10 years of refurbishing one military hospital. DPW executes projects, permission. The next one there, it was found that DPW is processing the municipal from other amounts up to for the DoD. The following related to accommodation charges program to be undertaken. Then coming back to the issue of one military hospital on the next page, on military hospital, this one in DPW contracts office. I think this is a key issue here from DPW's then on the portfolio service providers, an increased cost. So within the constrained budget of the Department of Defense, this is a major issue, and it really does not help the financial situation in the funds from the DPW. 60 million in municipal accounts and 53 million in lease. This is the platform where that is the status of disputed amounts, and how can this issue just the DoD's engagement with Armscor, because Armscor has an extensive property portfolio and experience in managing their property portfolios in this, and if so, to devolve the activities from the Department of Public Works to the Defence Works formation is also not without its problems. Actually resolve problems that are just to be addressed. This was noted with regards to refurbishing of buildings around Cape Town when the portfolio committee visited them. It's just to support the quantity surveyor, civil engineer shortcomings, and for them to function optimally, they will need to address the shortcomings in terms of personnel. And we'll get to this personnel issue again on the next page of ready DoD facilities, such as office space, storage, were related to the lack of personnel. And I just want to get back to that personnel issue. In the next updates that Parliament received in addition to Parliament's Standing Committee on Appropriations. And the key issues that came out of this meeting, I just tried to highlight it for members here so that to bring them up to speed with what, and cooperation was established. This is between an interministerial task team from the DPW to the DoD. And I think the outstanding issues that they noted in 2019, and I wanted to note them here. So it offers an opportunity for members to follow due diligence of properties to be transferred and find capacity creation with capital works. And of key importance for the shortfall of the DoD portfolio. So I'll get back to that in a second. The interministerial task team also noted that what is the size of this portfolio? They mentioned the funding for capacity creations around projects with Parliament here is around the funding. DoD stated that with structured development function. So as you saw earlier, there was a need for information. And you can see here in the first table on your screens, which was noted earlier as to create this capacity within Defence Works Formation, it would be worse off after. So the DoD noted that it was in the process of developing an organizational structure to accommodate 93 construction professionals and 1,000 appropriations. It's have been involved in Defence Works Formation. That it was not clear from the presentation. But Chair, I think the big question here is has this and what was the outcome of this? And I think this should be seen in the broader, as solid. I expand this capacity. It is clear that they need experts to come on board, and those experts are going to cost additional money. As you can see in Table 1, there's additional costs. And the issues I touched on now, the nation itself will provide a lot of clarity and opportunity for ministers to engage further on this issue. I hope that was helpful, Chair.
No, it was helpful. As the inter-ministerial, it was going to be on a phased.
Asked them in that briefing that it gave in 2019, not been finalized. So perhaps the transfer functions, unlikely that they will transfer the entire nation. But as those skills, perhaps you can.
Because they build capability over some time. So in other words, as and when you think you have sufficient capability to take more, and the envisaged staff on a phased in, you and so on and so forth, you get what their understanding before you kick off you to DoD. But before you, I General Lembede.
He is locked in yet.
General Lidwaba, my apologies there, DM. And good day, Mr. Mafanya.
Yes, the DoD has got capacity. And now my question is, in the inter-ministerial task team meeting, were those agreed to be offset, to be given to the DoD?
Within the
DoD.
Of DoD. Just the comments on the report.
Thank you very much, our constituency office. So we are very in Simonstown, including an admiral right down to the bottom level. And I was very interested to know that there is a defense force, a defense works formation in Sailors. And now that we hear that the defense works formation may have all this land transferred to them, it will give us some direction. When they reach the age of 18, must leave the area. If you go today, Honourable Chair, you'll be disgusted with the conditions. 100 petitioners to the Defence Force. I'm sure that as from the Defence Force.
For that comment, General, on the good thing this afternoon.
I just want to be service provider, and it is the services that the Department of Public Works previously provided to the Defence Force work formation. So which is a good I think this term, a fifth Parliament, and the concern by the Department of Defence at that stage was predominantly the fingers pointed to Department of Public Works, and they were on this already. They obviously the funding must follow as well. Otherwise, if there's no funding, then it doesn't matter. Then it means nothing if you have got the function and the responsibility. Botswana, as of the Defence Force, that was in a very, very, very of the Defence Force protect us and comply with the Constitution. But is where they must specifically refer to specific properties and places in and around Cape Town. But Silver Mine was supposed to be a very strategic communication. Remember, the antennas were stolen and analyzed because of those challenges. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure you have listened to that is the public works, but used by the Department of Defense. We were still waiting since matters. I said it's the previous committee into the interministerial committee. Problem. We want to understand what the problem is.
Sir, I'll be with you just now.
Not for today, sir.
Not for today.
So
Okay.
today we only
We and you know, when a lecture.
Chairperson,
Disperse. Yes, sir.
said a report that it is in fact be able to.
Yes, wait until. And I know that are working on the matter. Is the military report is due in 7. It will be advised. All the agencies have concluded their work.
I generally send an email and accept their. I'm sorry, the host is not.
I don't know what is next sector.
While the others are going on, especially IPIT and the police, that's got nothing to do with the defense. We were only interested in the internal report. We were not allowed to discuss it any further.
Should wait for a meeting where we are going to deal with the minutes, so that all of us can then be able to comprehend the meeting, appreciate them, and be able to. But I would want to suggest that can't we kindly wait for the meeting that is scheduled for us to deal with those minutes? Thank you.
Yes, you are right from the minutes. Sustained. Okay.
The question of the work skills and so on and so on. Public Works has, which DOD doesn't have. I was thinking to myself, what skills are we talking about? Because Public Works was used unless if somebody can, because it's long that we have been fighting about the things for themselves. Is they build their own houses. They don't wait for Public Works. Public Works doesn't go to war with them. So why is the money? They will only outsource those. Unlike, thank you very much.
Yes, the sector.
Also got the reserve for private sector and the reserve force, whether that's engineering that we have used currently, whether that's medical people, whether that is mechanics, whether that is mortars, and you know, there's even much more successful than Public Works have.
Yes, fine. Sector. I know that, and then
just try and get the organizers to pick up the.
Thank you, the
to it.
See this one. Sharon, are you available?
Yes, I'm available. I'm still with Mr. Ledwaba. The thing is, I'm with Mr. Ledwaba. I'm trying to help him.
Just hang on.
Yeah, I think if they've connected, then they should be coming in online. But to respond to, I didn't get that part.
No, so that we don't waste any further.
Clear?
It is. I know some of the questions will be covered by our presentation sector.
Is that a correct presentation?
At a time.
Yeah. Shall we go?
If you are not on the floor, thank you. You have muted now. All right, over to sector.
The next slide, which is slide number 2, where they have been looking, were supported by the front of the Standing Committee on Appropriational Services, as were also present in that discussion. Or it was also education, indicated that other departments like health and education and so forth, they will departments who were there, it was activities then should be provided an opportunity and refurbishment for its own facilities. The next slide. So we are here to really update from the Department of Public Works. Next slide. Here we are indicating is allocated to the Department of Defense for its defense works formation. The available budget and the shortfalls, the water bills, electricity. Now they are available, engaging and actually employing the units of the defense works formation to do this work. Shall we go to availability of funds? Municipality services that we had budgeted for, looking at our facilities that required to be done, as well as 2020-2021. As far as the municipality services, we have put together within our Defense Works Formation a team that looks into the payment of rents, rates, and other for such municipality treasury works per bills or invoices that we receive. Bills come through, funds get transferred. We realized that we were paying, indicate that there is a dispute. Even now, I think, paid for this or have not paid to validate these invoices that we're getting has not been their budget, the Department of Public Works. The next slide. Here we are highlighting the fund. We still have to finalize our assets as we have indicated, and this process is supposed to be completed within the medium-term strategic framework as we have agreed with the Standing Committee on the Defense. We have signed an MOU from the Department of Public Works to be then expected to take over various functions as we are ready to take over the Defense Works Formation that has been submitted for the Defense Works Formation to be able to do the work itself, really related to the structure for the engineers as well as the quantity surveyors mainly in the main. For the rest of the required competencies, it is available like bricklaying, painting, glazings, and the Department of Defense as members as needed. The challenge that we have in terms of our cost of employees, we run as of the last since 2016, 2017 and 18 at least the Treasury approved that for the last year and actually for this current by 3 billion. So we have been accumulating over the last year, the previous year and the current year, an over expenditure or what they would then call 3 billion rands a year to cover the cost of employees with the allocated, activate as well as the quantity surveyors functions from the Department of Public. In most of these, maybe for a period of teachers, we change the contracts that are already in place. In others and so forth, we could not do it immediately, know the contractors, so we had to sort of work with them within those contracts that they were working with until the contracts have been finished. And these contracts are still running now, but we have to wait. Been brought in as consultants from the Department of Public Works leave, we then have to take over. But one of the challenges that we are facing and technicians to be part of these, but we do the instructions that you tell us what is going to have to outsource because you are not able to do it within yourself. So you will find then that when they say, I can't spend any more, can spend on consult work themselves because the National Treasury as well in the bodies, but the funds indicated in slide number 9, they do internally ourselves, but due to when it comes to the existing buildings that we have, facilities ourselves were not able to do. we are highlighting that we have embarked upon. But treasure as well, the shortfall that we have to have as we would like for it to move. But it's true that when we take to National Treasury, we are indicating the value add. When we are deployed outside the country, the army engineers, then the water, the water school, we are purifying our own water, and then we can't build the roads and the private sector. You transfer that they are engaging the Department of Defense to roll out these infrastructure projects. As of yesterday, when the schools, or on Monday, when they immediately and said, please, can we roll this in Wheatbank, as well as in one of the districts in the Eastern Cape that I forgot. Now, over the last 24 hours to 72 hours, our done, and National Treasury Department goes to us. And we are then emphasizing that point to say the laws that we make with the sanctions that we are able to get into when deployed outside South Africa or when deployed inside South Africa, but under emergency. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
For presentation. There is echo. Colleagues, the presentation is now on the table. Note them. Was that the skill that already exists for this purpose. I think just to augment his question, has that skill been audited? So that you know the responsibility. Some maintenance work as DOD, the permanent force that for this purpose. So again, what skills? And the second question that I asked, I mean, in view of the fact 2021, 20, it's clear from what you are presenting today that there is no money to build this capacity at the moment. The team that is led by Genesis to fund this, all the planned maintenance, all right? And the condition assessment and the municipal service account. Municipal service account, yes, you can still phase it, all at once. You can actually split it into that you buy rents. Therefore, we're not going to even start. So, is there no possibility where that you, as it were, that was your final point. I'm saying that you are able to perform, that you do certain things when you are abroad, and but when you're at home, you are told that this is a reserve for the department. Before I asked the SecDev to still held up in cabinet, but for now we still held up there. All right, colleagues, over to you, and let me just see if there are hands. If there are no hands, I will recognize.
Yeah, I'm there.
And mine, sir.
My fine.
To start off with,
with public works, fair off happen because there's so many. My question would be, change some legislation. If it's simply an MOU to change any legislation, because that changing legislation is amended. Maybe public service, not the portfolio committee. It won't legislation needs to be changed now, so that MOU is the question of the foundation and whoever expects to happen. I mean, and can we repeat something about what is the commander-in-chief say, or even what we are talking about, the compensation of employees sorted out. So, and this is a question that we keep on asking on a daily basis, which means that we are not effective, and there's absolutely, it means who stands up and supposed to be doing or saying
colleagues, because we have Mr. Shelembe. All right, Mr. Mare.
Reserve force further, and I'm looking forward to this. Everything to us. Responsibilities of the Defence Force, for which there's already billions of rands, or find any appetite from National Public Works to defence that Public Works would have or should have used for this purpose. Then on Tabatswane, in other words, Department of Public Works and Defence, or is that not a? If you can just elaborate on the challenges that we have experienced at Silver in the past, that there seems to be a much better cooperation in the Western Cape with the Department of Public Works. Lastly, on one military hospital, you remember last time theaters, there was only a lot of the technology that was required, and I remember, and if I can recall correctly, it was told to us that there's R1 billion required for completing the our flagship hospital.
Again, we are discussing the transfer of the Department of the whole challenges that have been brought about by inefficiencies in the Department of Public Works. We take that as now to move to the promised land. Panya?
Thank you very much, Chair. Actually, I wanted to go there through that you are proposing now.
Yes, yes. So, Mr. Mpanya, we will have time where we discuss just the public works, the maintenance and all that in general. But we thought the topic for today was limited. Thanks.
I'm saying I was about to propose exactly what you are saying.
Oh, okay. No, thanks.
Yes. But the issue here, Chair, is that the previous change all these other issues that we find ourselves in is the other area where we need to attend to. Because now the minister has been there, the deputy minister has been there, the complaint structure is dilapidated, and there are unsurmountable now mountain to climb in relation to all these things that are happening. All that I propose through you, Chair, is that through your desires, we must come up before us. And we tend to reinvent the wheel. So the reality of the matter is that there must be deliverables so that we are able to say we have achieved this at the end of.
Thank you so much, Chair. Firstly, I would want to say that bearing in mind that we currently the transfer of a proper plan in place, should budget or funding be available tomorrow for the department to be able to implement the projects that we currently have, or it will then take us another time developing a plan, because currently we are saying that a challenge is and professionals that were previously mentioned here on the slides, your quantity surveyors, your constructors or your builders, or they take some of these young people to the qualification is available to take students. I know that mostly it's a military war and deals with such, but also to say, let's also utilize that and have these young people who are coming in the DOD to be trained and so that we also then have them from outside. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, no. Last time we got a presentation on mastering, mastering as one of the, just thinking aloud, whether it is not time, the age, so that they can then, those people are already on your salary, are already paying their salaries. The same thing, them start to think of them becoming from the goods and services. Right.
Led us a little bit down that path, and I was hoping we would actually get that other presentation, which Secdev has indicated was just the background document, because that's what gives. Just to go back, the fact that the committee and that I sat for 2 years on the portfolio committee on public on their mandate, but they seem to be getting away or taking on more and more. It needs to follow the movement of function. So if budget is not moving, then there's a problem, and I think that is why I was hoping for the detail on management functions to the military. That approval's been granted. If you look at the status on that slide, it's green, and it specifically says their approval was granted for the pilot project to the local municipality in the area where I was called there before in my public works portfolio because of the problems that exist. And Mr. Marais quite correctly pointed out the fact that those flats are in a shocking situation. The roads are a mess. There are sinkholes, etc., etc. But now, if as I know, there's still massive sinkholes in the road, and that is experiencing that. So if we can have that we can't do anything because of a lack of transfer across, because without the money, and there are many skills associated with it. Again, indicating, however, that it's going to require an existing headcount to with machines that are and equipment that is used for. Perhaps to have Strom and again in Simonstown and in the various other places around the country may become incredibly expensive. So yeah, I would have liked to have more of a feel of no money. The money is not forthcoming, and Treasury seems to be the department and Treasury and this committee.
Now hand over to Secretary and then the Deputy Minister before I take.
Chairperson, I fully agree and cover how far we have gone, and the questions responsibility has been raised. Silver mine in Cape Town, military town management, because the MSDS, as we have indicated, has used those artisans, the engineers, and the quantity surveyors, because we do give members of the Defence Force bursaries to go and study, like we produce doctors and nurses, but I don't know how far we're doing. Well, I know that I've been complaining that we shouldn't just be produced for the Department of Defense. Maybe General Dwaba is on the table for discussion. The one that I said is not for discussion, but it was all on the operational programs of actions that it teaches. Thanks very much, Chair. General Dwaba will take us through.
Thank you so much, Secretary. General.
Honorable Chairperson.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Which were asked are there. I don't see them, but I just want to also acknowledge that.
I can see you're still right at the beginning at 3 o'clock when you are at 5. Anyway, you may continue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Probably they require us to, at few years, we had made for infrastructure. And then that is where the strategy came about to say, let us create the Defence Works Formation. And we have proven that there are a number of projects with DPW, and also the cost was lower than what DPW were costing us. The recent example is an example of the municipality services which we have just taken over. That tells you that our performance there is actually, so I wanted to give that background so that for us to move into another, can I say that we are to get to talking about that it is from within, they are the ones which we want to then make sure that Honorable Chairperson technicians, we have a technical college which is in the country. So those technicians are trained and are the ones who are delivering the work. The engineers, we have got a number of engineers, but both in the reserve force and within the Defence Works Formation, the people who have got degrees as engineers, they are not yet accredited. Portfolio of evidence so that they can build up and be recognized according to the statutory requirement. Now, in this regard, what we are doing in terms of qualifying those people, the DoD has just appointed the DPSA the end of last year for a 3-year contract. What the DPSA is going, that is in terms of us to be mentored. As we speak, we are having our own members. They then become part and parcel who still need qualifications to become registered and get certain portfolio of evidence. We will put them on the projects so that they address of so-called consulting or in the construction environment becomes tremendously reduced. We are at a position instead not have any other person. Saldana, we have built 10 houses there, and we have shown that those houses, we have complied to all municipality requirement, all environmental requirement, and so on. Let me just go through to some of the questions which were raised by the honorable members, so that I'm at least relevant in this. But I felt that this background is very crucial. If you were to take over or to have money, so for us, that is not a big issue. Why do I say so? Although we don't have this capacity now, we have got the DPSA, which is going to partner with us, and we take this, which if you talk of that number came already qualified inside the Defense Works Force, they are available to us. So if you wish, 10 are technologists, and then you talk of 3 who are registered engineers. Then outside the Defense Works Formation, we've got 70, they are qualified. 2 of the 5, they are all still need to be registered with the we can be able to together do projects within cost, within time. Then I will go to Lisa, I think that which was raised, that do we have main as a plan, and for it in the built environment, for it to be operationalized, we need to do detailed work. And that detailed work, it requires your architects, it requires your civil engineers, your structural engineers, and so on, for us to put it, and your quantity survey can see it is tangible. And also when we say it, I used to say that my fear is that we're the nurses, but we're required to do neuro. So if we get the professionals on top, then we should be able to do that. And that is the rationale that SecDef has agreed to enter into a memorandum of agreement with DPSA, which then I'll touch to Honorable Chairperson, which will be replaced more than 3 times in a year. Currently, we just go there, inspect, that is using our technicians, we in the system, where we are not yet at a higher level of qualification. Like creates economic, many other areas which we can indicate where we have done our job and perfected the job. The municipality services which we have taken over in the 1st of April, and that one. Honorable Chairperson, MSDS program, and your question of saying that what about the soldiers who have reached a career plateau? Actually, the Defense Works Formation is, and most of them are the artisans which we are proud of today. As they come in, our vision, agile soldiers to be deployed. That you can force in order to take over the tribes on young stars. But then also, we are, as a defense force, we build our own timber, our feeder, and then it comes through the Defense Works Formation at a point in their career. Commanders, your soldier, with the current situation, we can be able to play in saving. Very interestingly, Honorable Chairperson, this excludes. So our argument is that it's possible to build the accommodation for our soldiers. That money to do is they will wait for a facility to deteriorate. When it has deteriorated, then they start trying to resuscitate, or they call it a refurbishment program. Then they pump in a lot of money to bring that property into a level that it is required. And then they leave it. After 10 years, 15 years, that facility has gone down. And one of the things which makes the facility to go down, a simple start cracking. If you must come and fix that facility, it starts to jack up all our facilities, assist us to build new facilities where we can be able to reduce the lease portfolio. And then our plan is that we are going to have what we call total facility maintenance. Lastly, let me talk about Thabazwane. Thabazwane, we call it a risk. But there are also areas in Thabazwane which are stable, and we want to build some of our headquarters and some of our schools there. But the center of Thabazwane, every second year you've got an old piping system, being a dolomite area, when the sinkhole falls in. So I must also say that we have started a program with Public Works now, where we have started digging Thabazwane, and we are rolling out some of the piping systems. But at least we are happy that something has started. The electrical system in Thabazwane, actually, it is a piece of joints. It is no longer an electrical system. We are saying we were just giving her some that this thing must, what we have indicated in the slide.
No, thank you so much for.
Generally, the legislation look whereby, according to this, immediately, Endowment Act, and the next time when the members of face you this is what you call GIAMA, immobile assessment, as building up will be development of arrangements, and without the approvals will tell you no, this is we can only negotiate at the time. I don't think we'll get there, maybe even not even that really to say and everything, but when it comes to military facilities, we talk functions, we never became more aware of it as now the quarantine facilities, or is private, which is mostly hotel. Even people who can say no, but we can come in and help, and the necessary refurbishment, it will become that Department of Public Works, which is, I think that's the best. It's directly Honorable Marken, Honorable Ryder, I think we're talking to the same as it has been highlighted, and Honorable Mare as well. For me, human resource development is really my passion. I don't think I would be here today if some people that came before me did not into the Defense Force. I always say, like the Americans would say, you can become what make them there and go and join the industrial sector, let them go and join the private sector and go and get new ones in any given country. It's a source of world to attend formations we have in the Defense Force. Very much, Chair. I think I was.
Chair, thank you very much. And Chair, I realize around this project, the committee researcher and the department discussing house, maybe that in the house, I may just want to say one or two.
Esther, have you joined the meeting?
Okay. We seem to be having a syndrome where the complete picture of the end's responsibility have right at that increasingly more, that is the one line issues which should have the extent to which what is done by Public Works when taken, even with the has been delivering to the Department of Status Quo as far as the Department of Defense to have that capacity in-house. The numbers of employees in our government, it's something which the Department of Defense, of Public Works executes with the utilization of industry capacity. It's what they do through contractors. Now, in our Department of Defense will be done compensation of employees. In the presentation, somewhere a point at Defense Force, we are talking of a footprint that is national. In-house personnel and technical skills that is able to address the needs of these. The other point, of course, is that as far as conceptualization in relation to at the stages of taking over, that actually see the Department of Defense doing everything right up to building new air bases. And that is everyone can, in this discussion, that we are succeeding municipal services paying for when this was done through the Department of Public. I'm just saying there are levels indeed be taken over by the Department of Defense and savings before you say you want to play at that point is this. Fully appreciated our developmental state has as an organization that internally based. Those people on the basis of the post as reserve forces. No, in my view, agency within posts by employees, the reserves, people who come in and out, and the Department of Defense. But those would be my.
You are muted.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, DM, for the and welcome, Minister. I hope we can hear me. All right, I think.
Yes, I can hear you. I've just come out of cabinet.
Yes.
Thank you.
We did receive your apologies. We are almost at the tail end of our discussion. 3 questions that made capacity, using the right term, capacity, who are generally available. In other words, is there any?
First of all, just a follow up on my first questions. I am not sure whether the SecDef has really responded to my question in terms of interact. Then secondly, hasn't responded to. And then just lastly, on the reserve force, I hear what the Deputy Minister said and yourself now, but I was under the impression that the reserve force is a fully one or even longer, like to the it's concerning to expertise that we have got. And that we are now using in Operation Neutrala, we are using those expertise, but we are not prepared.
Was omitted. SecDef will come back to it without elaborating on it further. And the DM did not say that you would not utilize the reserve force at all, but it says, you know, it's like your standby force. In other words, you must, right, that you draw from all over. You know, from their own responsibilities. You may not get them when you need them. I think that's how I understood him to be saying. And that's the reason why I call this a dependable capacity, you know, that exists at the click of your fingertip.
Chair.
Yes. See, Mutle, and who else?
Brukus.
Oh, Brukus, all right. Thabo, Mutle, and then Ms. Brukus. Thabo.
Okay, thanks, Chair, and thanks for the job. Behind the formation of, but the question is the practicality or the implementation of that idea, which seemingly it's a challenge. Government. I know for a fact that the Department of Water Affairs has a same unit. Where they do their own pipelines and so forth and so on. But there are also limitations to that because of a general perception, probably as opposed to government is unable to look into that and ensure that currently at the state General Ledwaba, with regard to the inability for them to move in terms of structure that they envisage to have, and that responsibility. Are they doing enough? Are they moving with? Is made with one example, construction You need, if you are unable to do so, the cost will always escalate. The very same people that you have employed, you are paying them. And you must not take advantage of saying no, because they are permanently in a system that is dilapidating in Swar. And it's not only the pipe system, structure has been dilapidated. Even today, they are still roofed with. Why is it still so that they must utilize on daily basis, whilst we have taken a decision as government to do away with those? So basically, I'm saying it requires a proper planning and into timeline. Otherwise, we'll come here and accept presentation condition that we left them when we were there. Year in and year out, we get presentation, and the reality is that infrastructure in those bases is dilapidated, and it has even went beyond the word dilapidating. They are just a plan on their own. Out of the little that they have, they are going to taxpayers' monies are not wasted. Thank you very much.
No, we are the
Thank you,
last
Chair.
in view of time.
It's about the challenges raised as far. I want to know, when was the last material task?
No. Can you repeat that?
The first one, the interministerial task team, and is there about the total facility breakage plan? Chair, is what is unresolved issues? Is this one of?
Thank you so much. All right. In responding, at least the minister is in the house now to paint it that your food will have to duplicate to be able to move it from one province to the other, you know, and so it's going to be a huge thing, but it's difficult to deliver today. Let's come up front. We monitor and hold you to account on anything you do around the trunk. The trunk, around the trunk. Trunk is this thing, eh? Yeah, right? On the right. As you do that, you will come back to us and say, yes, we're on the ground, we're doing your memorandum of understanding. Approach has the phases. In this phase, this is in what we are going to take, it will require this scale, it will require this amount. So that you don't have to think of taking the whole plant maintenance at a go, as you have indicated in your term chart. In maintenance, you actually in province X, province X and Y. But if you think you can take identified in the Department of Public Works, so that we are taking. You want to comment, and then
have that we have provided. I think we have gone in the project by project for the members to look into it. For these hospitals, Honorable Ryder was saying, and they were not funded, and the Captain Park, so as indicated. But maybe General Drop, as we have been requested, if you can just address those areas, appetite towards assisting. We are trying to highlight the fact that if they come, the Defense Works Formation can get to other. Maybe the next time when they want to have, as a national treasury and government, having built, assisted out and engaged, to be very specific about 1 mil and the silver.
On those aspects, 3 minutes so that we leave.
Thank you very much. What I will say that
yes, I'm hearing you. You are out.
In terms of the money, they were saying that is close to the construction. They're in the hands of the DOD. I think those are the two. I think the deputy minister said, would you be able to outsource? So that is how the structure of high level will be cost effective to do a more costly. That is where we have configured ourselves to be able to do to the profession, to hold them accountable. Then you've got a runaway.
Ms. Bukas on this public works has had to come back to you at that. It's a dispute that you have declared and are living.
Is the amount which we have packed together, verify the invoices, get them signed, and it is part of migration as we are migrating.
No,
if they have a program to
of your plan, have you taken that over to you or still with asbestos?
And we have never got it internally. That is, our professionals will be able to come up with pipes every day. Let us do this.
Honorable Minister, the question and answers. There was a question that was raised by Ms. Becker, said, I think, ministerial task team. So that's Minister. She's not audible. Maybe there's an still a challenge. Peter?
IT, and they said that
sign language. Connecting is still a challenge.
is there. She can.
He's not muted.
And yourself,
Yes, Honorable Mofanya is muted. Okay. Are you muted?
Hear me?
We are.
Now it happens. Defense works for me. Wheel from the side.
So he's
Sharon?
Is the laptop here? Dogs.
Continue, madam.
Just as the deputy minister was wheel, they want, etc. It did not come with the pen at the beginning, I guess, of the. And now that we have happened, in my view, is that transferred to the Department of Public Works. In the main, I think by the time a decision of 1 mil hospital, we encourage cause of the consultants being with them in spite of skills in those meetings which we had, where those kinds of negotiations, some of them, I don't know if they did raise it, a section, MCC, to losses, as what do you call it, for some kind of task, and my understanding should be done within the, which they will, even when it, the last question, a meeting of the internet, because we resolved it is the, there was an issue with our units. One of the things was whatever is our facility people died project. Choose one military hospital, one of where they build things. Even the problem is that which I'm referring to, defined the
Department of Defense with through the road. So as then said, we have posing following function. I mean, if function, the expectation is that to work on, and doing the public works when the time to transfer must come back, it must also come back within your own. But that takeoff must be incremental. Which parts of the elephant set yourself up for failure? It will be practically impossible to be measured as things that you'll be doing. So we will have the discussion with the thing is working, check progress. I think it may be still meter. Can you hear the minister on that side?
I think supposed to ask that question as when do we?
Yeah, I understand. To give us an unreasonable.
One area I was very excited about. Like.
Yeah, Minister. All right, let's. Hello, Minister.
Clearly.
Before we could hear. To the end of the meeting, department would have made some substantial. Minister, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye, Minister.
General Lembede. Where's General Lembede? Lembede. The chair, I think.
Okay.